What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It looks like another major port could be heading to the Switch 2, this one being a big-time RPG. It's done pretty well. It's won many awards, and in a recent interview, seems like they're hinting towards that release, and oh yeah, they were also asked about physical media going away. Go figure, but we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Capcom with their recent financial report that's showing some pretty impressive numbers. Turns out Capcom is doing pretty well over there. And we've heard about how expensive things are getting behind the scenes for these companies just to make consoles. And it turns out it's actually quite a bit worse than we thought, but we'll go over all of that and more. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over the world of gaming news, keeping you up to date here on YouTube, and then also here on Spotify, so you can check us out there. And of course, like, follow, all that good stuff. But just know, even if you don't get a notification, there's probably a video here to check out in the morning. And we're going to start today with PlayStation Plus Essential Games for the month of August. This we can see over on PlayStation Blog. I have a couple of games here. We have, let's see, Dying Light 2 Stay Human, Big Walk, and then Signalis. I never played that one. The other one, though, Big Walk, that's going to be a day one release into PlayStation Plus. I did play through Dying Light 2 Stay Human, and I actually liked that one quite a bit. So to me, that's an easy recommendation. I get why, I guess it's their big highlight game here, headliner title. But these will be available to PlayStation Plus Essential members starting August 4th and will run until August 31st. So, I mean, if you're a member, you may as well claim them. It's just as a benefit for your subscription there. But Big Walk, I'm interested in just to see exactly what it is. I mean, they say it's a cooperative multiplayer adventure about teamwork and talking, and House, after Untitled Goose Game, certainly has some unique ideas there. So I've already played Dying Light 2, but Big Walk is one that I'm just curious to see what exactly it's about. Also, with Spider-Man Brand New Day about to hit theaters, looks like there is an update that's gone live for Spider-Man 2, and you can see this is put out by Insomniac, saying you get 2 new suits for Peter Parker in today's update. See, we were expecting just 1 suit for the new movie. No, instead they also have the Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls suit. So that's, I mean, it looks cool. I will say that, at least the art style kind of meshing with more the realistic look, at least behind Spider-Man there in that scene. And then also add support for enhanced PSSR on PS5 Pro. And get this, the Power Saver mode. We've seen that pop up quite a bit. Just talked about it for Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Here it is now for Spider-Man 2, and people are testing this Power Saver mode out just to see what effect it has, and tends to be lower resolution, and then you kind of have the frame rate if it's like a 60 FPS game in performance mode like this. So interesting to see that continue to pop up, almost like they are preparing some kind of handheld behind the scene. But either way, just more suits for Spider-Man 2. I got the Platinum trophy in that game a while ago, and I really haven't gone back. But if you're in the Spider-Man mood because the movie's coming up, which I kind of am, I'm excited to go see the movie in theaters. There you go. You can turn the game on and get a couple of new suits and try out the Power Saver mode. Oh, and we did get a new trailer for Crazy Taxi World Tour. Sega released, you can see. And this is Welcome to the West Coast. I assume they're going to put out trailers for different areas as we go along, just to kind of continue the hype cycle and marketing for this game. It's not out until 2027. However, they do have it looks like a multiplayer closed network test. They want you to sign up by August 31st. So you have basically the next month throughout August to get signed up here. And I guess they're going to let a bunch of people in, have them just drive around these different areas all at once and just try to break the network. But I mean, the game itself, I think it looks fun for what it is, right? It's Crazy Taxi. The visuals of the characters against kind of the Crazy Taxi, I know it was just due to the limitations at the time of the Dreamcast, but it had kind of its own like artistic look to it. And this sort of looks maybe a little too realistic. I'm not sure, but either way, it's not out till 2027. There's going to be a closed network test. I think I'm going to sign up and try to get in. I'm already doing like the Duskbloods, and then here comes Crazy Taxi. So we'll see how these different games turn out. But as long as the gameplay is good in Crazy Taxi and kind of harkens back to the old arcade sort of setup with the Dreamcast version, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Claire Obscure Expedition 33 and how the CEO and co-founder had an interview over at Automaton Media, and they talked about a number of different things. I picked out a few topics that they went over, with one obviously being, hey, is this game going to come to the Switch 2? Because it seems like it would work well there, and you would probably sell a ton of copies. And this we can see, again, over on Automaton Media. I'll have that link down below. Also, Genki did the interview for this, so shout out to Genki on this one. Where, again, after asking about Expedition 33 and if they think it would be able to run on the Switch 2 and if they have plans, they say, we're interested in looking for a way to do it, but it's too early for us to announce anything at this point. It's a big technical challenge because we try to do something beautiful with the game, but of course, the Switch 2 is not as powerful as the PlayStation or the Xbox Series X, so it's an important thing for us to consider, especially given the size of our studio. It then goes on to ask, do you think Unreal Engine 5 is also a challenge when trying to bring the game to the Switch 2? They answer, yes, a lot of features don't work on Switch 2, and they say they're introducing features like Lumen Light now, which is easier to run than the standard Lumen, but these things take time to roll out, so we'll have to consider the updates coming from Unreal Engine to determine what to do. So it's been long rumored now that Expedition 33 would be coming to the Switch 2. There's even talk about how it will all be on the cartridge. Now, I think that'd be awesome to see, and we are getting different capacities for cartridges rolling out now behind the scenes, so it seems like it would be possible there, and that's kind of the hope, because I would love to buy Clair Obscur Expedition 33 again, actually, on the Switch 2. I think it'd be really fun to have it on cartridge, like the full physical release there, and I think the game would do well on the Switch 2. Now, they mentioned Unreal Engine 5, and I mean, there's a certain performance threshold I'm sure they want to hit for this game, because it is very reactive. Like, when you're in battle, you have to time things kind of, I'd say fairly precisely, especially towards the end of the game, where it can be quite punishing. So if you have a game that is running like in the 20s and it's kind of unstable, and it's not going to be great. They mentioned Lumen Light, which apparently is going to help quite a bit on the lighting side for something like the Switch 2, but I do think Expedition 33 is coming to the system, and I wouldn't be shocked if in a couple of months, all of a sudden it pops up in a Direct or something. I think they're being kind of coy about it here because, go figure, they can't just announce the game in like some random interview that they're doing. Now, along with this, they were asked about physical media going away, and we can see this is their response, saying, personally, I find it super sad because I really like video game stores, and even if nowadays I play mainly on PC myself, we have a lot of people on the team who play on PS5 and love to collect physical discs. I think it's part of the beauty of art too, that it's something tangible that you can touch. I completely appreciate that people want to have their rows of DVDs and games and just feel that they own them. So I think it's a shame. I mean, business-wise, I can understand why it may make sense, but I think in terms of the artistry of video games, it's a sad decision. And I mean, you can see the complete contrast to for their answer versus someone like Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot, where he's like, it's probably not a big deal. I don't think the industry's going to care that much. Life will move on. And they're like, man, it's just the artistry and having something tangible. I understand, it's a big deal. And they even go on to say that when Clair Obscur Expedition 33 released in disc format, which they also said, hey, we weren't exactly making more money from that release, but we still wanted to do it. They went out to the store and bought copies of the game, like, because they wanted to have that experience. They wanted to see their game up on store shelves. And yeah, they wanted to go home with a copy of their game and probably put it up on the shelf because they already have a copy, I'm sure, at home on their PC or test build or something. And they probably played it over and over again, but it's that experience. And then also kind of justifying the whole thing of, look what we did. Here it is. It's physical. It's tangible. And that seems like a very special moment, I feel like, for developers out there after years and years of, hard work to get a game out there. You can go out, get a copy of the game, and put it up on your shelf as just kind of a reminder of what you were able to accomplish. Oh yeah, and then it went on to, win like all the awards at the Game Awards show. So put the trophies up there next to it. But something tells me that just having that copy of the game is a big enough deal for them. So again, you can see the difference between, someone just running the business like the CEO, Yves Guillemot, versus people really working hard to get a product to market there and sell it, for the most part, as like just pure gamers. Next up, let's talk about Capcom, as they did release their Q1 financial earnings report for this fiscal year that they are now in, and it was quite good. Capcom, turns out, They're making a bunch of money. They're selling a bunch of games. And we had some updated sales numbers that we can quickly look at here. So they had their explanatory material that you can kind of see here as well. And so their net sales are up 54%. Their operating profits up 66%. They've already been able to reach like a significant amount of the goal that they set out for their forecast for the year, and it's only been one quarter. Like that's it. If you look though, there's a significant amount of their sales this quarter that came from their game catalog, as in not brand new titles released in Q1. Those accounted for 10%. The other 90% were games that have already released. So Pragmata, that's now at 2.5 million copies sold. That is pretty good for, I would say, a new IP that they just kind of put out there. Resident Evil Requiem, 8 million copies sold on that already, which is insane. Resident Evil 2 is the best-selling Resident Evil game. They have that updated now to 19.75 million copies. I also noticed they said that Devil May Cry 5 has surpassed 14 million units sold. That's very quietly gotten to 14 million units. I don't really see a lot of people talk about DMC5 anymore. I know it was big when it first released, and I enjoyed going through the game, but I mean, come on, it's pretty obvious that there is a Devil May Cry 6 probably getting announced, I would say, in the next year or two. So those rumors we had somewhat recently, not shocking at all, right? But here's the thing. Capcom right now, they have a heavily reliance on PC. Like more than half their sales are just there on PC, right? And because of that, it's also heavily reliant on digital purchases. Okay, so the thing with this is there are stats going around right now. Digital made up 93% of Capcom's sales. And when you look at the picture wholly like that, yes, that would be correct. Those are the numbers. But of course, PC is only digital. There are no physical copies of PC that Capcom's shipping out or anything like that. Console, however, there are physical copies. So if you take console sales specifically on its own and measure it up, it's roughly 83% digital, 17% physical. Again, physical is still a much smaller number here than digital, but there are also many games that Capcom did not release physically, or in very, very limited numbers with some of the boutique companies that do like limited run stuff. So that's the other thing to keep in mind here. It's not the 7% physical that was getting thrown around. There's some nuance there, go figure. But bottom line, Capcom is extremely healthy. They are way better off right now than where they were in 2016. I think that's awesome for the industry because I will give Capcom credit. They don't really just kind of hang out and just sit on their laurels. They're doing some weird stuff. Like they're trying to bring back even some of their older projects or even do things like, oh, what's that? You guys want to do a Okami game? Okay, we'll figure that out. We'll form a new studio. Here comes Okami 2. That's great. Mega Man fans, even though it was kind of quiet there, we're getting a new Mega Man next year. And something tells me we're going to get a couple other big Mega Man announcements here, probably in the next year or two. And that's also exciting with that. But that's the thing with Capcom. They keep putting out games at a good cadence, and I don't think they get too crazy even with their budget, so it allows them to do that. But Capcom right now, I think they got the formula figured out. Their RE engine is putting in a lot of work, and it seems like full speed ahead there for Capcom going into 2027. Next up, let's talk about video game console pricing, because it's only been up this entire generation. I mean, we do have Nintendo raising the price of the Switch 2 here in a few months, but Microsoft also announced another price increase for the Xbox. That'll be hitting next month, in a few days, I guess. And it's quite a jump. Like, it's substantial to where the Xbox Series X 1 terabyte, the disc-based model, will be $800. And to me, I go, wow, that's ridiculous. They went ahead and discontinued the 2 terabyte model because, let's face it, that'd have been more than $1,000. So I go, okay, well, I guess this is where it's gonna sit for a while. Probably not. It seems like now, next year even, they might end up at the $1,000 mark for the Xbox Series X, because we have a report here, this is from Jez Corden over on Windows Central, where he says, thanks to the RAM-pocalypse, those wafer-thin margins get even trickier. I've been told Xbox is losing around $150 per Xbox Series X and S sold right now, even after the planned August 2026 price hike. So they're losing $150 on an Xbox Series X that is selling for $800? Okay, so that means, okay, break even then, we're thinking right around $950 to $1,000 for the Xbox Series X. And that is insane. So, all right, look, Microsoft said that even by next year, prices will go up even further for RAM. That's just what their projections are. And look at what Microsoft is in outside of Xbox with AI and hardware. They would know if prices are going up for RAM just based on their own. I mean, they have a lot of really smart people that work there to try to give them trends in the market and figure out the best direction forward for like Microsoft overall. Maybe not the best for Xbox, but like definitely for Microsoft. So obviously they're going to know where they're heading with RAM prices. If they're losing, if break even is more than $950 right now, like there might actually be a $1,200 Helix, a $1,400 Helix on the table. That would be tricky. Yes, especially since there has been discussion around it being an open platform and Steam being there, which was what Windows Central article was mostly about, the idea of it being so open that it doesn't make sense to subsidize the box anymore because like people can just go off of your platform, off of your marketplace and not give you any money. So if that's the case, then I mean, Helix is probably $1,500 if they're not going to subsidize it at all and actually look to make some kind of profit on it, even of a small profit. And so when I see that, I didn't think of, by the way, Apple's recent leasing program that they just announced. I mean, it sounds crazy, but next generation, they might show you the system and it'll look really cool and do all the stuff. And then you're like, oh, but how much is it going to cost? You get to the last screen where they show you the price normally, and it comes up and it's like $49.99 per month. And then they're out. And you go, it's just $50 a month. But then you look at the fine print, and it's like over the course of 48 months or some crazy, not like you're financing thing for 5 years or something. And the actual price is like $1,200 or $1,400. I mean, I wonder if that's really the future we're heading towards right now with these prices, because if you flash a price of more than $1,000, people are going to think the system might look cool, but then they go, you know what, I just can't afford it. And that's just kind of the reality of the situation, which puts next generation in a very, very awkward spot. And then our last bit of news, speaking of awkward spots, more layoffs hitting the industry. This, though, for Double Fine, which Double Fine, remember, spun off of Xbox, and like we can see this, they posted over on social media saying, today Double Fine Productions let go of 23 members of our staff. As a small, tightly knit team, these actions are not taken lightly. Only the survival of our studio would ever make us consider such a painful action. Our transition to becoming an independent company also means becoming a size that we can sustain. The people we are losing were all important. They all made an impact on our games and culture, and they will be missed. So that's about a third, I think, of what Double Fine had in terms of employee headcount there. And look, when they spin off of Xbox and they don't have the backing of a massive company anymore, the unfortunate reality is, yes, they have to cut back on costs. And that's what was already mentioned. Like Jason Schreier had said this previously when there were discussions around companies that were going to try to either find an investor or buyer or just try to become independent, is that's going to lead to layoffs because you don't have like a massive backing anymore. And you have to really get conservative and careful with their cash flow and how many people are working there, especially for whatever new project you're about to start up or you have incubating at that time. And that's just, it's unfortunate, but Double Fine, I will say this, the other reality then is that they just got shut down. Like that Xbox is like, nope, we can't find a buyer. You guys aren't gonna be able to spin off independently. So we're just shutting you down, and like, that's it. Again, this is just kind of the situation right now as we see with gaming, where layoffs are just commonplace at this point. The industry kind of feels like it's set up here soon, I think, to contract, kind of shrink down a bit as we go towards next generation. But with Double Fine, they are genuinely creative, and I'd like to think that they have something really cool planned down the line, but this is more just them kind of resetting and figuring out where they go from here. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, do you want Square Enix to remake Final Fantasy VI if it'll be done in multiple parts, similar to FF7 Remake Trilogy? 77% say no. Wow. 23% say yes. So there's that Simpsons episode where Bart finds the monkey paw, and he makes a wish, and one of the fingers like bends down, but then something bad happens along with it. So there's always a catch. That's kind of how I view any of these potential remakes, because Yoshi P even was on stage and be like, you know, it would be cool to remake a Final Fantasy VI, but we probably have to do it in multiple parts to get it right. So I don't know. And I see people go, no, just do a one-to-one remake. It's fine. And they probably could, but I also think, believe it or not, Square is going to look back on 7 Remake Trilogy, because they are doing so many re-releases, and they'll probably also put on the next-gen system and whatever else they can. I think they'll look back on that as actually being a good idea, because 7, the original, can still be sold as it is, and then this is just like a whole other game still based on that source material. They can almost lump it all together, you know? So with something like Final Fantasy VI, that would be the Simpsons monkey paw situation where they go, oh yeah, okay, cool, we are getting it remade. And then it turns out they're gonna do it in like 3 parts and they're gonna reimagine the whole thing and it won't actually be Final Fantasy VI, but it still kind of will be. And then the fan base will clash for what, like 10 or 11 years until you see the conclusion to the entire trilogy that they made. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from the Hot Dog Man, who says, probably shouldn't get too excited about the upcoming handheld either. That's going to be all digital too, so you're back in the same boat. I mean, I was always expecting the handheld to be a digital system, so that wouldn't be a surprise. I didn't think they were going to engineer like a successor to the UMD, or figure out a way to put a Blu-ray in the handheld. So I was already kind of on that side of, yeah, it's going to be the situation of, I'd like Sony to make a handheld, but then also it's going to have to be digital. Like, I didn't get the Switch, or when I first saw the Switch and go, man, the Wii U disc is not gonna, how does this not work? It's like, yeah, they kind of split away from that format and okay, we have cartridges now and now they're gonna port all the Wii U games over to the Switch and resell them to us. But at least for Sony, I mean, that's just kind of, it seems like part of the process for them with the digital side is the handheld's digital, the PS6 is digital, there's no confusion. I would have liked to have seen them attempt something like what Microsoft is doing right now, it seems like, with disc to digital. I don't know if Sony has that incorporated though with their PlayStation 5 discs, certainly not with their PS4 discs, I guess. But if they were able to do that, then you think, okay, you can go ahead and take your physical PlayStation 5 game, pop it in the system, move the entitlements to your main account while keeping your disc, and that still works fine, and then it'll work on the handheld. Would that have been really complicated? I mean, probably, but now as we're seeing with Sony, like pretend like nothing's happening, and the handheld being on the horizon, it kind of seems like, at least for now, that's gonna be their plan going forward. But hey, there's a boycott coming up at the end of the month, so I don't know, maybe they can move the needle with that, we'll see. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to see something that Sony's last handheld can do now in 2026, that it certainly shouldn't be because it's playing Xbox games. I did a whole video on that and I'll leave it right below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.